Hi guys, welcome to the channel of love. I'm here with your bedtime storytelling time. We are reading The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. We are on chapter 6, which is called The Wisdom of Personal Change. And there's a quote here by Suzuki. I am an artist at living. My work of art is my life. Suzuki. The Wisdom of Personal Change. True to his word, Julian showed up at my house the next evening. At about 7:15 p.m, I heard 4 quick knocks on the front door of my house. A Cape Cod design with awful pink shutters, which my wife believed made our house look like something out of Architectural Digest. Julian himself looked strikingly different than he had the day before. He still embodied radiant health and exuded a wonderful sense of calm. It was what he was wearing that made me a little uncomfortable. Adorning his obviously subtle body was a long red robe, topped by an ornately embroidered blue hood, and though it was another sticky night in July, the hood covered his head. "Greetings, my friend," Julian offered enthusiastically. "Greetings. Don't look so alarmed. What did you expect me to wear? Armani?" We both started to laugh, softly at first. Soon our giggles had turned to guffaws. Julian certainly had not lost that wicked sense of humour that had kept me entertained so long ago. As we relaxed in my cluttered but comfortable living room, I couldn't help but notice the ornate necklace of wooden prayer beads dangling from his neck. "What are those? They're really beautiful." "More about these later," he said, rubbing some of the beads with his thumb and index finger. "We have much to talk about tonight." "Let's get started. I could hardly get anything done at work today. I'm so excited." I was so excited about our meeting. Hearing his cue, Julian immediately started to reveal more about his personal transformations and the ease with which it was effected. He told me of the ancient techniques he had learned for mind control and for erasing the habit of worry that was consuming so many in our complex society. He spoke of the wisdom that Yogi Raman and the other monks had shared for living a more purposeful and rewarding life, and he spoke of a series of methods to unleash the wellspring of youthfulness and energy he said every one of us has slumbering deep inside of us. Though the conviction with which he spoke was clear, I began to grow sceptical. Was I the victim of some prank? After all, this Harvard-trained lawyer was once widely known within the firm for his practical jokes. As well, his story was nothing less than fantastic. Think about it. One of this country's best-known trial lawyers throws in the towel, sells all his worldly goods, and treks off to India on a spiritual odyssey, only to return as a wise prophet from the Himalayas. This could not be real. "Come on, Julian, stop pulling my leg. This whole story is starting to smack of one of your gags. I'll bet you rented that robe from the costume shop across the street from my office," I suggested, breaking into my best fear grin. Julian was quick to respond, as if my disbelief was something he had expected. "In court, how do you prove your case?" "I offer persuasive evidence." "Right. Look at the evidence that I have offered you. Look at my smooth, lineless face. Look at my physique. Can't you sense the abundance of energy I have? Look at my peacefulness. Surely you can see that I have changed." He had a point. This was a man who, only a few years ago, had looked decades older. "You didn't go to a plastic surgeon, did you?" "No," he smiled. "They only focus on the outer person. I needed to be healed from within. My unbalanced, chaotic lifestyle left me in great distress. It was much more than a heart attack that I suffered. It was a rupture of my inner core." But your story is so mysterious and unusual. Julian remained calm and patient in the face of my persistence. Spotting the pot of tea I had left on the table next to him, he started to pour into my waiting cup. He poured until the cup was full, but then he kept on pouring. Tea started to trickle down the sides of the cup and into the saucer, then onto my wife's prized Persian rug. At first I watched silently, then I couldn't take it anymore. Julian, what are you doing? My cup is overflowing. No matter how hard you try, no more will go in, I yelled impatiently. He looked at me for a long moment. Please don't take this the wrong way. I really respect you, John. I always have. However, just like this cup, you seem to be full of your own ideas, and how can any more go in until you first empty your cup? I was struck by the truth of his words. He was right. My many years in the conservative legal world, doing the same things every day with the same people who thought the same thoughts every day, had filled my cup to the brim. My wife Jenny was always telling me that we should be meeting new people and exploring new things. I wish you were just a little more adventurous, John, she would say. I couldn't remember the last time I had read a book that didn't deal with law. The profession was my life. I began to realise the sterile world I had grown accustomed to had dulled my creativity and limited my vision. Okay, I see your point, I admitted. Perhaps all my years as a trial lawyer had made me a hardened skeptic. From the minute I saw you in my office yesterday, something deep inside me told me that your transformation was genuine and that there was some sort of lesson in it for me. Maybe I just didn't want to believe it. John, tonight is the first night of your new life. I simply ask that you think deeply about the wisdom and strategies that I will share with you and apply them with conviction for a period of 1 month. Embrace the methods with a deep trust in their effectiveness. There is a reason why they have survived for thousands of years. They work. 1 month seems like a long time. 672 hours of inner work to profoundly improve every moment of the rest of your life is quite a bargain, don't you think? Investing in yourself is the best investment you will ever make. It will not only improve your life, it will improve the lives of those around you. How's that? It is only when you have mastered the art of loving yourself that you can truly love others. It's only when you have opened your own heart that you can touch the hearts of others. When you feel centered and alive, you are in a much better position to be a better person. What can I expect to happen to those 672 hours that comprise 1 month? I asked earnestly. You will experience changes within the workings of your mind, body, and even your soul that will astonish you. You will have more energy, enthusiasm, and inner harmony than you have had in perhaps your entire life. People will actually begin telling you that you look younger and happier. A lasting sense of well-being and balance will swiftly return to your life. These are just some of the benefits of the Savannan system. Wow! All of what you will hear tonight is designed to improve your life, not just personally and professionally, but spiritually as well. The advice of the sages is just as current today as it was 5,000 years ago. It will not only enrich your inner world, it will enhance your outer world and make you far more effective in all that you do. This wisdom is truly the most potent force I have ever encountered. It is straightforward, practical, and has been tested in the laboratory of life for centuries. Most importantly, it will work for anyone. But before I share this knowledge with you, I must ask you for a promise. I knew there would be strings attached. There are no free lunches, my loving mother used to say. Once you see the power of the strategies and skills shown to me by the sages of Savannah and observe the dramatic results they will bring to your life, you must make it your own mission to pass this wisdom on to others who will benefit from this knowledge. This is all I ask of you. By agreeing to this, you will help me fulfill my own pact with Yogi Raman. I agreed without reservation. Julian began to teach me the system he has come to consider as sacred. While the techniques that Julian had mastered during his stay were varied, at the heart of the Savannan system were 7 basic virtues, 7 fundamental principles that embodied the keys to self-leadership, personal responsibility, and spiritual enlightenment. Julian told me that Yogi Raman was the first to share the 7 virtues with him after a few months in Savannah. On a clear night, when all the others had drifted off into deep slumber, Raman knocked softly on the door of Julian's hut. In the voice of a gentle guide, he spoke his mind. I have observed you closely for many days now, Julian. I believe that you are a decent man who deeply desires to fill his life with all that is good. Since you have arrived, you have opened yourself up to our traditions and embraced them as your own. You have learned a number of our daily habits and have seen their many salutary efforts. You have been respectful of our ways. Our people have lived this simple, peaceful life through countless ages, and our methods are known to but a few. The world needs to hear our philosophy on enlightened living. Tonight, on the eve of your 3rd month in Savannah, I will begin to share the inner workings of our system with you, not only for your benefit, but for the benefit of all those in your part of the world. I will sit with you daily, as I sat with my son when he was a child. Sadly, he passed on a few years ago. His time had come, and I do not question his exit. I enjoyed our time together and cherish the memories. I now see you as my son, and I feel grateful that all I have learned over many years of silent contemplation will live on within you. I looked at Julian and noticed that his eyes were now shut, as if he were transporting himself back to this fairy tale land that had showered the blessing of knowledge on him. Yogi Raman told me that the 7 virtues for a life overflowing with inner peace, joy, and a wealth of spiritual gifts were contained within a mystical fable. This fable was the essence of it all. He asked me to shut my eyes, as I have now done, here on the floor of your living room. He then told me to picture the following scene in my mind's eye. You are sitting in the middle of a magnificent, lush green garden. This garden is filled with the most spectacular flowers you have ever seen. The environment is supremely tranquil and silent. Savour the sensual delights of this garden and feel as if you have all the time in the world to enjoy this natural oasis. As you look around, you see that in the centre of this magical garden stands a towering red lighthouse, 6 stories high. Suddenly, the silence of the garden is disturbed by a loud creaking as the door at the base of the lighthouse opens. Out stumbles a 9-foot-tall, 900-pound Japanese sumo wrestler who casually wanders into the garden, into the centre of the garden. It gets better, chuckled Julian. The Japanese sumo wrestler is almost totally naked. He has pink wire cable covering his private parts. As this sumo wrestler starts to move around the garden, he finds a shiny gold stopwatch, which someone has left behind many years earlier. He slips it on and falls to the ground with an enormous thud. The sumo wrestler is rendered unconscious and lies there, silent and still. Just when you think he has taken his last breath, the wrestler awakens, perhaps stirred by the fragrance of some fresh yellow roses blooming nearby. Energized, the wrestler jumps swiftly to his feet and intuitively looks to his left. He is startled by what he sees. Through the bushes at the very edge of the garden, he observes a long winding path covered by millions of sparkling diamonds. Something seems to instruct the wrestler to take the path, and to his credit, he does. This path leads him down the road of everlasting joy and eternal bliss. After hearing this strange tale high atop the Himalayas, seated next to a monk who had seen the torchlight of enlightenment firsthand, Julian was disappointed. Quite simply, he thought he was going to hear something earth-shattering, knowledge that would stir him to action, perhaps even move him to tears. Instead, all he heard was a silly story about a sumo wrestler and a lighthouse. Yogi Raman detected his dismay. Never overlook the power of simplicity, Julian was told. This story may not be the sophisticated discourse that you expected, said the sage, but there is a universe of sensibility in its message and a purity in its purpose. From the day you arrived, I have thought long and hard as to how I would share our knowledge with you. At first, I considered giving you a series of lectures over a period of months, but realised that this traditional approach was ill-suited to the magical nature of the wisdom you are about to receive. I then thought of asking all my brothers and sisters to spend a little time with you every day, tutoring you in our philosophy. However, this too was not the most effective way for you to learn what it is we have to tell. After great deliberation, I finally arrived at what I thought was a very creative yet highly effective way to share the entire system of Savannah with its 7 virtues, and that is this mystical fable. The sage added, at first, it might seem to be frivolous and perhaps even childish, but I assure you that every element of the fable embodies a timeless principle for radiant living and has great depth of meaning. The garden, the lighthouse, the sumo wrestler, the pink wire cable, the stopwatch, the roses, and the winding path of diamonds are symbols of the 7 timeless virtues for an enlightened life. I can also assure you that if you remember this little story and the fundamental truths that it represents, you will carry within you all that you need to know to raise your life to its highest level. You will have all the information and strategies you will need to profoundly influence the quality of your life and the lives of all those you touch. And when you apply this wisdom on a daily basis, you will change mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Please write this story deep into your mind and carry it within your heart. It will only make a dramatic difference if you embrace it without reservation. Luckily, John, said Julian, I did embrace it. Carl Jung once said that your vision will become clear only when you can look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. On that very special night, I looked deep into my heart and awakened to the secrets of the ages for enriching the mind, cultivating the body, and nourishing the soul. It is now my turn to share them with you. Okay guys, that's the end to chapter 6. I will see you next time for chapter 7. So until then, sweet dreams.